Hey, I'm Patrick, and this is Meditations on Being. So I wanted to talk tonight about experiences that I've been having with my painting. And so I've mentioned before on this channel that painting is one of my passions. Another one of my passions is communicating my thought process on the spiritual transformation that I'm going through, or the thought process as I go through this spiritual transformation. And another one that I'll cover, another passion that I'll cover in another video is baseball. So one of the background bits of information that I wanted to share is that these passions are brand new to me on my spiritual journey, as part of my spiritual journey. I wasn't interested in art, making art, before this spiritual journey. I was never interested in sports, let alone baseball, and I was not spiritual until this journey. So apart from just the actual passion itself and whatever I get out of that, I also get these insights into kind of the nature of reality. And so I wanted to share that in the next couple videos, share the thought process and sort of what it looks like, what it is like to go through these experiences, because I think it'll be applicable for you in whatever your passions are, and also in life. So yeah, I'm gonna talk over a painting that I made recently, and just as something to look at, so you're not looking at me the whole time. So yeah, let's get into it. So I'm gonna try not to talk too quietly or too strangely, but my son is sleeping in the other room and I don't want to wake him. So art is my passion, and it's very exciting to me for a few different reasons. One characteristic I believe about passions is that they bring a lot of different things to the table for you. So there's the actual act of doing whatever your passion is. It's like the actual act of taking a paintbrush and running it through some oil paint on my canvas. That just feels amazing to me. The completion of a painting that I admire feels amazing, like indescribable. And then there's also the lessons that it gives me, the actual spiritual lessons that I'm able to take away from undergoing this process of creation via painting. What I mean by this is, one of the key sort of insights that comes up time and time again, you need to surrender to the process. So when you try and control things and you try and make stuff happen in a specific way, you end up limiting yourself. And if you really want to manifest something that's great, something that's the best case scenario, you need to put it out there into the universe that this is your intention. You intend, for example, to make a great painting that you're satisfied with. And then you need to immediately surrender to the process of creation. You don't want to get caught up in the details of forcing this thing to happen. You just want to show up and pay attention in the moment and create. And you'll find at the end that what you created is something you're satisfied with. And not only that, but something that you couldn't have created if you did it a different way, if you sat there and forced yourself to do all these things. How does that play out in actuality in a second-to-second basis when you're creating something? So that's what I wanted to talk about. And that is what painting gives me. Painting gives me an insight into how this actually plays out in a second-by-second, minute-by-minute manner. It allows me to see that, okay, if I want to manifest a specific outcome, I need to follow these steps. And not only follow those steps, I need to beware of the pitfalls and constantly pay attention to my thought process and evaluate, am I falling into any of these pitfalls currently? So undergoing this thought process on like a second by second or minute by minute basis really highlights and exemplifies the state of mind that one needs to be in to manifest what you desire. And this kind of process, at least for me, is very difficult and challenging to understand unless I have these specific arenas in which to practice it. So baseball is also great for manifesting, and I'll cover that in another video. But art has been particularly good for evaluating what my internal state is and seeing at all times, or whenever I'm able to, if I'm approaching things in sort of an old-fashioned way of trying to force things to happen, or if I'm simply surrendering and allowing whatever is going to come up to come up. When I'm painting, I will oftentimes encounter a problem. And in this context, a problem means a type of thing that I've not successfully painted before. So one of the things that I'm working on right now is trees. Painting trees has been incredibly difficult for me. And when I'm faced with this challenge, my default is to try. It's to really try and think and understand and plan and do all these things that are very brain-centric about how I should make this tree work. I'm sure that these kinds of thoughts and attempts and trials are actually critical to learning how to paint a tree, but the mental state that you're under while you go through these attempts, that's the important part. So if you approach things with a playfulness, I'll go through some examples of how one might approach painting a tree in a way that is surrendering rather than forcing. So if you say to yourself, I don't actually really care how this painting turns out. I'm going to try to paint this tree whatever way feels good, or I'm going to try this new technique that I saw someone else do, and I actually don't care. It doesn't matter to me if the tree doesn't look right, because I know I'll learn something. For me, sometimes it's helpful for me to think, because I'll know that I'll learn something, and sometimes it's helpful for me to just not think about it and say, I don't really care if this little painting works or doesn't work. Even though you might be undergoing the same exact exercise where you're saying, okay, left side of this tree needs to be dark, right side of this tree needs to be light. When you're forcing, at least for me, in my experience, I am in a state of dislike. I dislike what I'm doing because I'm comparing it with the state, the imagined state of a Patrick who can paint this tree beautifully already. There's a gap, and that bothers me because I want to do whatever it takes to close that gap. That is the old Patrick mindset. The new Patrick mindset is one of surrender, where I might actually consciously follow the same steps of logic where I say, okay, tree needs to taper, etc. But I just see what happens. How I'm thinking of it is like the co-creation between me, Patrick, in the physical, and whoever else, whatever spirits, whatever guides, whatever muses are present on the other side that are co-creating with me. They have a hand in this, and they bring up those thoughts of, oh yeah, consider this. We want this line to be like that, and let's extend it over here a little bit. But I see this as literally one of the reasons why I'm into painting, is that the spirit world is giving me something that I will physically enjoy doing, that also highlights how the universe works, how I can go about life. These things are applicable to not just the act of painting, but to my life in general. And I'm certain that this is applicable to you and your passions, but also to whatever else in your life that you might care about. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share today. Thanks for joining me. If you liked the video, give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. Subscribe for more, and regardless, I send you my unconditional love. Bye-bye. I don't want to do that.